A song recorded in just 3 hours broke a record Elvis Presley held for 36 years.
Yo, Dre dropped the verse. It's going down.
A group filed for bankruptcy on a Tuesday and hit #1 by Sunday. And one songwriter wrote the biggest love song of the decade for someone who never even noticed him. These aren't just hits. These are moments that were never supposed to happen. Today, we're counting down 10 R&B groups who didn't just make music. They rewrote the rules, survived the chaos behind the scenes, and created songs that still hit like the first time. This is retro vinyl, where the music lives on stick around, because the deeper we go, the crazier these stories get. Number 10, Dru Hill, Never Make a Promise, 1997. 4 teenage boys from Baltimore walked into a pool party for BET's Rap City with nothing but their voices and their hunger. Island Black Music President Hiram Hicks happened to be there, heard them perform, and called them into the studio that same afternoon. That very day, not weeks later, not after negotiations, that very afternoon, they recorded a song called Tell Me for the Eddie movie soundtrack. It became a top 5 R&B hit before they'd even released an album. Their debut album, Dru Hill, was executive produced by New Jack Swing pioneer Keith Sweat and went platinum. Over 1 million copies sold in the United States. But the cut that really stopped the world was Never Make a Promise, a silk smooth ballad led by member Jazz Anthony, with harmonies so tight you could feel the pain in every note. This song was written and produced by Daryl Simmons, the same man who co-wrote Boyz II Men's End of the Road, and it hit #1 on the R&B chart for 4 weeks straight. Here's the wild part nobody talks about. The single's sales were partially driven by fans buying it just to get the So So Def remix of In My Bed on the B-side. So a song people were buying, a bonus track, ended up spending a month at #1. The music video was even darker and more gripping, featuring actress Michelle Thomas in a storyline about pregnancy, family trauma, and silence. A heavy story wrapped in one of the smoothest harmonies of the decade. Dru Hill didn't just debut. They arrived with purpose, with pain, and with a sound that the 90s had never heard before. Number 9, SWV, Weak, 1993.
It's so weak in the knees, I can hardly speak.
3 church girls from Brooklyn, Coco, Taj, and Lele, sent their demo tapes to record labels in envelopes stuffed with bottles of Perrier because, in Taj's own words, they couldn't afford champagne. RCA Records were so floored by what they heard that they signed SWV to an 8-album deal. Weak was their 3rd single, and it almost didn't get recorded the way we know it.
No way cannot deny it.
The song was originally written by Brian Alexander Morgan as a love letter to R&B singer Shantae Moore, a woman he had a massive crush on and never actually got. He first imagined it as a song for Charlie Wilson of the Gap Band, but fate had other plans.
Time with thoughts of loving you on my mind.
When Coco finally got into the booth to record Weak, she reportedly hated the song and gave the producer serious attitude during the session. She found it vocally uncomfortable and unfamiliar, but she recorded it anyway. And when it was done, it sold 50,000 copies in a single day.
Time after time I try to fight it.
Weak went to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, and together with their follow-up, Right Here / Human Nature, a remix that sampled Michael Jackson and featured a young Pharrell Williams whispering their name in the background, SWV kept a record in the top 10 for 29 consecutive weeks. That made them the top group of 1993. They came in with Perrier. They left with Platinum. Number 8 New Edition, Can You Stand the Rain, 1988.
Love unconditional.
By 1988, New Edition had already survived the impossible. They'd lost Bobby Brown, their most explosive member, and the music world was waiting for them to fall apart. Instead, they did something nobody expected. They brought in a new member, Johnny Gill, and handed the reins to producers Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, fresh off their championship run with Janet Jackson. Jimmy Jam later recalled that the song's metaphor came straight from Minneapolis weather. Sunny days, everybody loves them, but can you stand the rain? Meaning, can you stand by me when things get hard?
Through the good times and bad times, she would always.
Can You Stand the Rain became New Edition's 4th number 1 R&B single, and its first with Johnny Gill sharing lead vocals alongside Ralph Tresvant and Ricky Bell. It transformed the group's image overnight, from teen pop stars to grown men with something real to say.
Tell me, baby, can you stand the rain?
Here's the story that connects generations. In 1989, a group of unknown teenagers sneaked backstage at a New Edition concert and performed an a cappella version of this very song for member Michael Bivins. Bivins was so stunned he helped get them signed. That group was Boyz II Men, and they even wrote about the moment in their debut song, Motown Philly. Can You Stand the Rain didn't just save New Edition, it planted the seed for an entire dynasty. Number 7 on Vogue, Don't Let Go, Love, 1996. This song was originally written for Aerosmith. Let that sink in. One of the most powerful R&B vocals of the 90s, was first conceived as a rock record for a band of middle-aged white men from Boston. Songwriters Ivan Matthias and Andrea Martin were genuinely shocked when Elektra Records president Sylvia Rhone commissioned them to record it with En Vogue instead. Organized Noise, the Atlanta production team behind TLC's Waterfalls and the entire Outkast sound, handled production, bringing in live guitars and live drums that made the record feel unlike anything else on the R&B chart that year. Don't Let Go peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, the third time in En Vogue's career they'd hit number 2 without ever breaking through to number 1. But on the R&B chart, where it truly lived, it went straight to the top. Their 6th number 1 R&B single, more than any female group except the Supremes. Now here's the storm beneath the surface. The song's lead vocalist, Dawn Robinson, had already decided to leave En Vogue before the single even finished its chart run. The success of Don't Let Go was so massive that Elektra pushed the group back into the studio for a whole new album. But Robinson's departure forced the other 3 members to go back and re-record all of her lead vocals. A song that was almost given to Aerosmith ended up being the last chapter of a legendary lineup, and still became one of the greatest R&B records ever made. Number 6, Jodeci, Forever My Lady, 1991.
Y'all know this song, have a sing it tonight.
Devante Swing was 16 years old when he drove from North Carolina all the way to Minneapolis with no appointment, no connections, nothing, just to stand outside Prince's Paisley Park studios and beg someone to listen to his tape. He was turned away every single day. He drove back home, but he didn't stop writing. A few years later, Devante and his brother Dalvin, along with Kasai and JoJo Haley, two brothers raised in a strict Pentecostal home where R&B music was forbidden, packed themselves into a car with 3 demo tapes and exactly $300 and drove to New York. They walked into Uptown Records, started performing their songs in the lobby, and by the end of that same day, they had a record deal.
I'll never let you down. Lady, believe.
They were assigned to an unknown intern named Sean Combs, known today as Diddy, who dressed them in Timberlands and baseball caps and told them to pose for photos with their backs to the camera to build their mystique. The album Forever My Lady was recorded 3 different times before the label approved it. Forever My Lady, the title track, became their first #1 R&B single, spending 2 weeks at the top. The album went on to sell over 3 million copies. Complex magazine would later rank Jodeci #1 on their pyramid of excellence for 90s male R&B groups, calling them the greatest R&B group of all time.
Count on me. I'll never.
4 kids who couldn't listen to R&B in their own house went on to define what R&B sounded like for an entire generation. Number 5, Blackstreet, No Diggity, 1996.
With the homies Blackstreet and Teddy, the original rough shakers.
Teddy Riley brought No Diggity to his own group, and nobody wanted it. Not one member of Blackstreet believed in the track. Riley later admitted that's exactly why he sang the first verse himself, because nobody else would step up. He'd already offered the song to his old group, Guy, and they turned it down too.
Curves the word, spins the verb, lovers hit curves so.
The beat started life when Riley heard producer Scales experimenting with a sample from Bill Withers' 1971 song, Grandma's Hands. Riley took the sample, added his signature drums and a reverse kick, and built something completely new from something deeply old.
Wow, wow. East side to the west side, push a fat rock.
The label didn't believe in it either until Heavy D and Dr. Dre stepped in. Dre wanted to be in the video. Jimmy Iovine at Interscope was skeptical, but Dre convinced him the song was a smash. And Riley agreed to let Dre on the track only if he contributed a verse. Dr. Dre's involvement was the key that unlocked the door.
And bored with these fake broads. How shows improves, no doubt.
No Diggity went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, ending the 14-week stranglehold that Macarena had on the charts. It sold 1.6 million copies in 1996 alone. It won the Grammy Award for Best R&B Performance by a duo or group with vocals in 1998.
Down, good Lord, baby got 'em open all over.
Rolling Stone called it one of the 50 best songs of the 90s. A song that the entire group hated, that was rejected by 2 acts before them, that the label didn't believe in, became one of the most iconic records in R&B history.
We out, right? We out.
Hold on, before we get into the top 4, real quick, if you are still here, still locked in, that already tells me you are the kind of person this channel was built for. Do me one favor, hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second and it genuinely helps Retro Vinyl reach more people who love this music the same way we do. And if you have not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss a countdown like this one.
I can't figure out just what to.
All right, we are heading into the top 4. And I promise you, the stories about to hit are the ones nobody saw coming. Number 4, Destiny's Child. Say My Name, 1999. The beat was inspired by a club in London where producer Rodney Darkchild Jerkins heard British two-step garage music for the first time. He flew home and built a track unlike anything on American radio. And when Beyonce first heard it, she said there was too much stuff and it sounded like a jungle. Her father, Matthew Knowles, told her to just listen to the rework. She did. They loved it. The lyrics came from songwriter LaShawn Daniels, who wrote the song about his own jealous ex-girlfriend, a woman who, whenever she heard voices in the background during a phone call, would demand that he say her name and tell her he loved her just to prove she wasn't being played.
You got to lie. I'm all up in your game, or you better say my name.
Daniels later said Beyonce was going through something similar in her own relationship at the time and connected to it instantly. But here is the drama that was happening simultaneously. 2 of the 4 members of Destiny's Child, Latavia Robertson and LaToya Luckett, had formally complained that manager Matthew Knowles was favoring Beyonce and Kelly Rowland with money and opportunities. They were replaced in early 2000, and the world found out when they saw the Say My Name video for the first time and noticed 2 different faces. The song reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in its 13th week, a slow climb that made its eventual arrival feel like a takeover. It spent 32 weeks on the chart total, won 2 Grammys, and was named the Best Song of the Year 2000 by Billboard. Rolling Stone placed it at number 285 on their list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. They came in as 4. They rose as 2, and history never forgot them. Number 3, TLC, Waterfalls, 1995. 5 days before Waterfalls reached number 1, all 3 members of TLC filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. One of the most popular groups on the planet, with 2 of the top 3 singles of 1995, couldn't pay their bills. Their label, LaFace, charged them for promotional expenses. Their management company, run by producer L.A. Rard's then wife Pebbles, owned TLC's name. The group didn't even own themselves. T-Boz had sickle cell anemia and staggering medical bills. Left Eye's insurance had skyrocketed after her arson conviction. And despite Crazy Sexy Cool being triple platinum before Waterfalls was even released as a single, the group said they were getting deeper in debt as the album sold more. Waterfalls was written by Left Eye with production from Organized Noise, and BMG officially confirmed it was the very first number 1 single in history to mention AIDS in its lyrics. The lyrics tackled HIV, drug abuse, and street violence, but they were delivered over a melody so gorgeous that listeners were moved before they even understood what they were hearing. When the group saw the finished music video, directed by F. Gary Gray, just weeks after he rapped Friday, Chili said they were in tears. She knew instantly it would be career defining. The video won the MTV Video Music Award for Video of the Year, making TLC the first Black artist to take home that honor. Waterfalls spent 7 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. The group that filed for bankruptcy on Tuesday was number 1 by Sunday. Number 2, Boyz II Men, End of the Road, 1992.
How could you love me and leave me?
They had one afternoon. Boyz II Men were in the middle of a tour, opening for MC Hammer with a little-known female trio called TLC performing on the same bill, when producers Babyface and L.A. Reid flew to Philadelphia with a finished song and a tight deadline. Babyface had written End of the Road for the Eddie Murphy film Boomerang, sitting with his co-writer Daryl Simmons, both of them going through divorces at the same time, pulling their heartbreak into the lyrics word by word. After he sang the demo, Babyface actually considered keeping the song for himself. He handed it over. The four members of Boyz II Men recorded all their vocals in 3 hours. Then they went back on the road. L.A. Reid pulled an all-nighter, mixing the song to get it into the film on time. When his personal trainer arrived the next morning and found Reid still in the studio, Reid immediately put the trainer to work, snapping and clapping on the record just to keep him from complaining.
And just ran out with that other fella. Baby, I knew about it.
End of the Road debuted at number 53 on the Billboard Hot 100. In 5 weeks, it was number 1. It held that position for 13 consecutive weeks, breaking Elvis Presley's record of 11 weeks, a record that had stood since 1956. It was the number 1 single of all of 1992. Billboard later named it the 6th most successful song of the entire 1990s decade. 3 hours in the studio, 36 years of history erased. Number 1, Boyz II Men, I'll Make Love to You, 1994, plus One Sweet Day, featuring Mariah Carey, 1995. They didn't just break the record once. After End of the Road shattered Elvis Presley's 11-week mark with 13 weeks at number 1, Boyz II Men came back 2 years later with I'll Make Love to You and held the top spot for 14 weeks, breaking their own record. Then, in late 1995, alongside Mariah Carey, they released One Sweet Day, a song written separately by both artists as personal tributes to people they had lost, combined into a single record, almost by coincidence of grief. One Sweet Day spent 16 weeks at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It held that record for over 20 years, my untouched, unmatchable, the longest running number 1 single in chart history, until Despacito finally tied it in 2017. Boyz II Men became only the second act in history after the Beatles to replace themselves at number 1 on the Hot 100, when On Bended Knee knocked I'll Make Love to You off the top spot in 1994. In total, Boyz II Men accumulated 50 weeks at number 1 using only 5 singles, a concentration of dominance that no group in Billboard history has ever matched. They were 4 teenagers from the Philadelphia High School for Creative and Performing Arts who named themselves after a New Edition song. They snuck backstage at a New Edition concert and sang a cappella in a hallway to get a record deal. And then they went on to become the best-selling R&B group of all time. No diggity, no doubt, nobody did it like Boyz II Men. From 4 teenagers sneaking backstage at a New Edition concert to 50 weeks at number 1, from 3 church girls mailing demo tapes with Perrier bottles to the top group of 1993.
In such a crazy way.
From songs recorded in a few hours to records that stood for decades, from artists being doubted, rejected, and overlooked, to rewriting music history anyway. This wasn't just a countdown. This was proof. Proof that the industry doesn't always decide what lasts. The people do. Now I want to hear from you. Which story stayed with you? Which song are you about to go play right now? Drop it in the comments. I am reading every single one. And if this video gave you that feeling, that real music feeling, send it to someone who understands, because this is more than nostalgia. This is legacy. Subscribe to Retro Vinyl for more stories they don't tell you about the music you will never forget, because the music lives forever. But the stories only survive if we tell them. Until next time, keep the needle on the record and the volume where it belongs.